This is not just a regular season opener. Chris Paul on the baseline. That's what he does. Mid-range jumper.
On a night when the rest of the club struggling to shoot the ball. Let it go. Get him shots, says Roy Rogers. We've got to get him shots. Paul, friendly iron. Paul, 12 assists tonight. Comes off the screen of 8 that pins Lillard, giving Paul enough room to shoot and score on the move.
Seductive ball fake for Chris Paul. Goes around Paul George and knocks down the 15-footer.
Ayton averages about 8 rebounds a game. Here comes Paul. His three is good. The other night, he was 1 of 8 from 3.
3 or 4 seconds?
2.5, 3.
Yeah.
He looked like an NFL wide receiver running a route. Paul hits that shot. Wiseman right there.
Back across to Johnson. Shot clock inside of 5. Paul steps right, throws it up, and scores. He has not shot football well to start the season, Chris Paul.
Sign language between Chris Paul and Biz, setting the screen. Pump fake, and hoop for CP3.
Here comes Bridges. Cam Johnson's got 17 to lead the Phoenix Suns. Screen for Paul over Gobert.
Putting Karl Anthony Towns defensively into really difficult situations.
Paul 3. Got it!
Out to the broadcast. We'll see you at halftime. Let's get it out to Kevin Ray and Eddie Johnson. Live Saturday Night Hoops on NBA TV.
Scoring. They didn't make a ton of offseason changes. They're just kind of rolling with the group that they had. Yes, they tweaked some of their reserve players. They bring in Damian Lee.
Chris Paul, and Griffin turned his back, and Paul gets the easy 2.
So the cold spell to start, it continues. And Chris Paul back to back. Yeah, in rhythm. You worried about him because he's missed 14. Landale on the high screen. Chris Paul to get the switch they wanted. Chris Paul buries the triple.
And they're so
out for the Pels.
They've always been really good at setting that
along to the Pels, but the 3-ball has kept them in the neighborhood. Now Chris Paul challenged by and gets it again, even though Larry Nance challenged it well. CJ on the switch. Wanted to go back to Landale. Chris Paul's mid-range, and it looks pretty good, doesn't it?
And it's the defense. That's the big difference. And you like to see that it hasn't let up, you know, forcing Ayton into jumpers. And you want to see the Suns play.
From the foul line, Chris Paul.
Chris Paul knocks it down. He's got 4 buckets tonight. Chris Paul taking matters into his own hands. Great contest by Coffey. Tough shot by Paul.
And the Pelicans right now is just all net.
Paul gets to that mid-range, able to knock it down. 6 points for Schroeder. Got the start tonight. Quick release on the 3 for CP3.
You're going to get a free meal, and I guess what? I get $1 from each and every one of you.
Yeah.
Donate it to my charity. How about that?
I like that trade.
Yeah, donate it to my charity. Yeah. So that anonymous donor out there, you know who you are. Thank you.
Yeah. Paul! The losing streak at 10. And he said, look, this team is still engaged. Yes, they're desperate. And he bemoaned, and you kind of touched on it early.
Paul checks his feet. Got the mismatch with Jackson. He'll fade and knock it down.
He is an instant mismatch.
Paul's pull-up is in.
Better than 40% from downtown. And a wink over to Richard Jefferson here courtside.
Yeah, well, I covered him with the net, so I've watched his growth. And
comes Shamet right back to Chris Paul. And Paul will get the 2.
Phoenix is winning everything right now. Paul for 3.
Because he was in no man's land, and that's the benefits of having a stretch 4, stretch 5 in Porzingis.
CP3 with a mid-range jumper.
Paul, the finger roll. Chris Paul now in double figures with 11.
That was a tough finish by Ty.
Taj now with 7. Paul hits a 3.
He's got to rely more on structure and the ball movement. Minute and a half into the second quarter. Paul, high over Thaddeus Young, the veteran.
He's 5 of 9 here today. Leads back up to 25. Chris Paul floats it up. Shot is good.
Paul plus 4 reserves for the Suns. Craig Lee, Wainwright, and Biyombo as Paul wheels his way into a 15-footer that's good. Paul works on Okoro. Okoro recovers. Paul's jumper is true. Chris Paul is 4 for 6. Suns do it. Shamet on the floor, but Paul apparently went against the Cavaliers. Suns basketball. Paul. Shot clock all the way down to 4. Paul checks it. He knows he has to hurry. Paul off one leg. Oh, brother. Make him do some really creative things because he can abuse you the way he's played this year.
Already has 9 points. Chris Paul along the baseline. Scrapping defensively. So Cam Johnson came out during that last timeout, replaced by Shards, and there's a 3-point hit for CP. Yeah, Castaway. Oh, one of my favorites. Thank you. Thanks, Wilson. Shot rolls. Chris Paul fires and buries it.
You can't say it like that, though. Because he knows Busy is going for it, and he's trying to hurry up and shoot it.
Cam with the show and go. Drive it kick. Sets up Chris Paul straight away. Got it.
Chris wanted him to shoot it again. I take it.
Trying to get Rozier on that rip-through move. He lays off. Over to Paul. Splashdown. And then they watch Charlotte close the gap. Got within 9. Paul with a step back.
Big guy.
No matter where he's been, he has handled it very, very well.
Chris Paul shakes Bullock. Tough shot. Chris Paul at his best. Shot clock to 5. Ayton draws a double. Here's Paul now. And Paul lets a 3 go, and he buries it. Late clock, needing to convert. What a game tonight. What a doubleheader on TNT tonight. Paul springs free and lays it in.
Guy's been on a scoring splurge, and maybe it's related to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't change my hair if I was scoring like he's scoring now.
Don't have any choice in the matter.
Yes, that's true.
All of us, even.
Well, it's usually not a matter of if, but when, right?
True.
Right.
At some point, at least a couple times.
Oh, what was the old saying? You get hired to get fired. I was impressed with it because he turned and shot right in the face of Chris Paul.
Paul freezes Jakob Poeltl. Sohan with 14 in the quarter. Chris Paul for 2.
That's just impossible. I mean, that's a great contest there from Zach.
6 on the shot clock. Got the matchup he wants. 3. Paul.
Like you want guys to overplay.
Hernan Gomez stepping out. Chris Paul stepping in.
I'll tell you, that ball is really connected to the net.
Shooting 34% from beyond the arc. Paul working on Boucher with that handle. Gets to the elbow jumper.
Suns have more assists than Boston has made buckets here so far. Chris Paul finally gets on the board. Really has been an evolution in Jason Tatum's game this season. You're seeing fewer of those ISO moments from Tatum and Brown. Paul heating up a little bit. He knocks down his first 3 of the night.
The Nets lead by 1. Paul gets through the first wave and connects. Chris Paul.
Coaches always talk about that, finishing out the half on a high note. That's what Phoenix is doing right now.
Adam Lefko and the crew coming up. American Express halftime report. Meanwhile, the Suns are on a heater.
His 4th season as the Suns head coach, of course, went to the finals a couple of years ago, and then they just absolutely collapsed in the playoffs last year as Chris Paul hits the runner. 99-86. CP3 right there. In Miami on Wednesday.
Rick can play you if you're doing well. If you're not, you'll have a hard time getting on the court.
There's Paul on the baseline.
He's a little trickery on the dribble.
Pacers just 5 of 20 from three-point range. And Paul got it to drop.
Then he wants to flex.
Paul probing. Well, he's been doing that for a long time.
Chris Paul tying up the defender, gets to that little mid-range and knocks it down.
You have to guard him beyond the three-point line. Mainly shoots 38% and attempts 6 a game.
Paul knocks down the 3.
And then even with Booker inside of him, he got that rebound and put it back.
He's getting the start for Giannis as Chris Paul gets that one.
Had to work hard to get that one over Okogie, but he did it.
Hornets letting Chris Paul get to his spot.
Doesn't take long to go from up 7 to up 14, does it?
No. Not when you got those scores they've had.
They let Chris Paul again, and he's just shooting in the gym by himself there.
Shoot a high percentage in the 3-ball.
I mean, obviously they get a great player in Kyrie Irving, but giving up Dorian Finney-Smith in that trade as Paul gets the basket, a very underrated part of that deal.
Snap the 7-0 Phoenix run. Paul gets to the mid-range. Walks into the 3. See the 3. Be the 3. Kogi on a baseline drive. Torrey, extra pass. Little hesitation for Book. Sets up Paul. Pushing into the paint.
You see, they're just sitting a second person there, and then they're going to run Looney back there to 8.
Ball in the lane, starting to get it going now. 3 straight buckets for Chris Paul.
And that's a sincere argument.
Now, Mike Budenholzer was asking about it before the game tonight. Is Paul able to get to that 16-footer? You've got a fighting chance at 17 to 22. Paul with the elbow look. .6 boards for Wagner. Paul on a crossover, left Fultz in his tracks. 3-time Rookie of the Month. Paul gets to that elbow jumper. Got it.
With Okogie knocking down that 3 from the corner.
And don't forget about the mid-range either, as Paul gets 2 cracks at it and makes the second.
The Suns have came out swinging here in this 3rd quarter.
Boy, there is Chris Paul, and this Suns team, Michael. Booker pressured. Well, behind the 3-point line as the ball swings over to Chris Paul. Chris Paul knocks down the 3.
Reeves all over Booker. Chris Paul touched the paint and got the little floater to go.
You know, Jonesy, I don't. I'm going to try to stay out of that one. I got to be honest with you. I don't need that kind of smoke. You know what I'm saying?
Chris Paul off the elbow action. Got the fortuitous roll, and the lead is down to 6. CP3 to take it inside himself. Got the putback.
That's right. I think THT's found out he can play more than just knocking down corner threes. There's Chris Paul, a patented mid-range jumper.
Here's Paul weaving through the lane and puts it up and scores against Conley for his first basket.
Probably far too little discussion for Giannis as MVP. It feels like it's boiled down to 2 guys.
It does. Ballots are coming out this week, too, for the voters as Chris Paul hit Phoenix ball, 2-point lead, 3.5 minutes into the 4th. It's go time for Durant. Pull-up jumper, Chris Paul knocks it down.
Mid-range, Paul got it.
Paul working off the Biyombo screen, gets the look, sticks to 3.
Coming up big for OKC's second unit.
The crowd here at Paycom Center appreciating the effort from Chris Paul.
Always a great battle between these two, Booker and Devontae Graham. Booker hangs, kicks it out to Paul. Straightaway 3 coming, got it.
Here's Biombo's pass deflected, grabbed by Torrey Craig. He wheels it out on top for CP3. Little 15-footer this time. Oh, he knocks that down as well.
Okay, good job, guys.
You got it.
And go home.
CP3, 16-footer on the way. That's good. Man. Well, he gets that mid-range shot. You can just chalk it up.
Chris Paul with the elbow pull-up. Everything has been nearly automatic.
We don't blink when those two guys get together at all. No. Chris Paul 3.
On cue, right? 34-37 right there.
You got it.
Splits the double team in the open court and finds Brown with the finish.
All with another 3. He's got 5 triples for Chris Paul. Walsh tries to penetrate. Paul on top. Shot clock at 4. The taller Najee there. Stop and start from Paul hits.
And Paul gets it organized. Working with 8 now. 2-man game. Paul, little step back. Up and over. Powell. Here come the Suns.
The Clippers going 2-3 zone here after that bucket.
Paul, mid-range jumper is good. And that's a good sign early for Phoenix.
He's not a guy that complains a whole lot, so the referees may pay attention.
Chris Paul, big answer there for the Suns. And now it's Phoenix with a second chance opportunity. Paul with Batum on his hip. Tough shot. And Chris Paul.
A little surprised that they don't have Diallo just come right down. Double that one in the post to Zubac as Chris Paul hits another one.
Late clock here. Got to get one up. Paul at the end of the shot clock. Checks up the pitching wedge. Phoenix up 9. Trying to go up double figures. Chris Paul, there he is. Paul delivers back to back. Paul with Zubac on him now. 5 to shoot. Paul trying to shake the big man. Does so. Lets it fly. And hits. Chris Paul. Paul lost the handle. Now 8 to shoot. Paul's got him way out there. Paul goes right by him. Drives it. Lays it in. You were wondering when that was coming.
From where, Brian? From behind. That's where he's done so much of his damage in terms of steals and blocks in this series, is coming from behind on guys. Went the other way. The great guards in this game, take a look at that. As Paul knocks down a 3. If you turn your head to look for a screen, series for the Clippers.
13 today. Paul rises up over Covington. Tough shot by Chris Paul. 2-point game. Short-handed Clippers hanging in there. Paul probing up and over Plumlee. Big shot for Chris Paul. Paul now with Gordon on him. 5 to shoot. Paul pulls him back. Chris Paul for 3. Okay! CP3.
Now it's Bones Highland. 10 to shoot. 8 and sets the screen. Paul, step back, Jay, bottom. Paul, the jumper, got him. Booker for Ayton off the bounce, no good. Booker, the offensive rebound. Paul, a corner 3. Biombo clears it. A second screen for Paul. Sets up with a jumper. Drains it. Here's Paul with 8 to shoot. Thought about it. Swing. Okogie. Back for Booker. He'll go to work. Double team. Paul lets it fly. Got it.
A good defense, though, by Ayton. Being big, being long, and not fouling Jokic causing him to miss.
See that mid-range prowess, and CP3 starting to cook. He's only been with the Suns about 2.5 months. There's the theft. Paul picking Jokic's pocket, and CP3. Boy, he has been huge in this quarter.
To Porter Jr. and Jokic.
Chris Paul gets closed by Murray. Moving away. Tough shot by Paul. Chris Paul, his 15th postseason appearance. Got it. How does this thing end? Here in Denver tonight, Paul gets a screen. Fakes. Just masterful.